Every year, an estimated 30 to 40 million fake watches flood the market, and the Rolex Daytona sits at the very top of that list. Against Rolex's roughly 1 million original pieces produced annually, counterfeiters are outplacing them by a factor of 30. The first and foremost thing to check on a Rolex Daytona is its dial. The Rolex Daytona dial is one of the most scrutinized surfaces in all of horology, and for good reason. Rolex spends an extraordinary amount of time and resources perfecting it, and that level of craftsmanship is nearly impossible to fake. The first thing you want to do when examining a Daytona is get up close to that dial and study it hard. On a genuine Daytona, the text is crisp, razor sharp, and perfectly spaced. Every single word, like Rolex, Oyster, Cosmograph, and Daytona, is printed with fine precision. The hour markers are 18-karat white gold appliques that will never tarnish. Now, look at the subdials. The caliber 4130 places the running seconds at 6 o'clock, the 30-minute counter at 3 o'clock, and the 12-hour counter at 9 o'clock. That layout is fixed and non-negotiable on a genuine piece. On a fake, cheap counterfeits based on modified ETA 7750 movements have fundamentally wrong subdial spacing. The registers sit too far apart or too high on the dial because the movement architecture underneath is completely different. Even on modern super clones, the cannon pinions are often oversized and bulky compared to the refined, genuine article. The red Daytona text has a precise curvature and shade that replicas consistently miss. If anything on that dial looks even slightly off, trust your instincts. Rolex dials are works of art. They should look absolutely flawless. Now once you check the dial, it's time to move to the feature that makes the Daytona perfect, the bezel. The Tachymeter bezel is a dead giveaway, real versus fake. The Daytona's Tachymeter bezel is iconic. It's one of the defining visual elements of the watch, and it's also one of the most difficult parts for counterfeiters to replicate accurately. On modern references like the 116500LN and 126500LN, Rolex uses a Cerachrom ceramic bezel virtually scratch-proof with tachymeter markings filled with platinum via proprietary PVD process. Run your fingernail across the markings. On an authentic Daytona, you feel nothing but smooth ceramic. The platinum fills the engraved channels and sits flush with the surface. On a fake, you may feel the markings sitting slightly raised, or the edges of the lettering will feel uneven under your fingernail. The font on the tachymeter scale is critical. The genuine ceramic has a distinct polished shine, and the platinum markings glitter with fine platinum dust. Fakes consistently get the color wrong. On fakes, numbers crowd together near the bottom of the scale in a way that no authentic Rolex ever would. Now once the bezel is checked out, turn the watch over and examine what most buyers completely forget: the case and caseback. A sealed caseback is one of Rolex's most powerful anti-counterfeiting tools. Here's something that surprises many first-time Daytona buyers: authentic steel. Rolex Daytonas have a solid, smooth, fluted, screw-down caseback. If someone tries to sell you a steel Daytona with a see-through sapphire caseback showing off the movement, then walk away immediately. That is not a real Daytona. The only exceptions with exhibition backs are the Platinum 126506 and the Le Mans 126529LN. Every other steel Daytona is a solid caseback, full stop. Now examine the case itself. Genuine Daytonas are made from Rolex's proprietary 904L Oyster steel, which takes a brilliant polish and resists corrosion unlike any ordinary steel. The case combines polished flanks with satin brushed surfaces, and every transition features functional chamfering. The 116500LN measures 40mm in diameter, approximately 12.4mm thick with a 20mm lug width. That transition line between brushed and polished surfaces should be as sharp as a knife's edge. Fakes blur that line. They skip the chamfering. They leave sharp, unfinished edges at the lugs. Now the weight tells you everything. A genuine steel Daytona with the bracelet weighs approximately 132 to 155 grams. Most replicas run 15 to 20 grams lighter because they use inferior metals and hollow components. The case feels solid and right, but the real test of authenticity lives inside, and that's its movement. You can't fake a Rolex caliber, not successfully anyway. The caliber 4130 is one of the greatest chronograph movements ever made. It features a column wheel chronograph mechanism with a vertical clutch, a 72-hour power reserve, 28,800 vibrations per hour, and 44 joules. Rolex's superlative chronometer certification demands accuracy of -2 to +2 seconds per day. The newer caliber 4131 adds Rolex's painted chronology escapement in nickel phosphorus for magnetic field resistance and a 70-hour power reserve. First, Rotor sound. The genuine 4130 uses ceramic and sleeve bearings that are nearly silent. Hold the watch to your ear and tilt it. A genuine Daytona is whisper quiet. Clone movements produce a faint but audible noise. Second, chronograph operation. On a genuine Daytona with a 4130's vertical clutch, the chronograph's second hand starts with absolute zero hesitation. It stops cleanly without bouncing. It resets back to exactly zero. Third, the sweep. The 4130 ticks 8 times per second, creating a smooth, almost continuous glide around the dial. If saving $20,000 with one tiny detail sounds good to you, hit like and subscribe, because the next test we're about to show you is the fastest way to separate a real Daytona from a very expensive mistake. The movement passes the test, but before you buy, there's one detail hiding in plain sight that separates real from fake. These are the crown and pushers. The crown is Rolex's signature and one of the most revealing details of the watch. The winding crown on a Rolex Daytona uses Rolex's Triplock system with 3 sealed gaskets that deliver 100 meters of water resistance. Look closely at the crown. You'll see the distinctive Rolex Coronet engraved on the end, which is a small 5-pointed crown symbol. On an authentic Daytona, that coronet is sharp, deep and perfectly formed. On fakes, it's often soft, shallow or slightly malformed. Under a 10 times loop, the difference is instant and devastating. The crown itself should screw smoothly and firmly down against the case with a clean, precise, airtight seal. And here's a detail that most people miss. When fully unscrewed, a black rubber gasket should be visible within the threads. Fakes often use crowns that feel wobbly or gritty or don't screw down cleanly. Now, the pushers at 2 and 4 o'clock. The chronograph start, stop and reset buttons. On a genuine Daytona, these are also screwed down. They produce a satisfying, precise click. While the crown and pushers tell the truth, now let's talk about the bracelet, because the Oyster bracelet is one of the most complex components Rolex makes and one of the hardest to fake. The Oyster bracelet is more complex than most people realize, and fakes almost always fail here. The Daytona comes on either the iconic Oyster bracelet or the sportier Oyster Flex rubber strap, depending on the reference, and both are extraordinary pieces of engineering. The bracelet is often where authentication breaks down completely for fakes, because creating an authentic feeling Rolex Oyster bracelet requires machines and tolerances that counterfeiters simply don't have. On a genuine Daytona Oyster bracelet, every single link is solid and not hollow. The entire piece is crafted from the same 904L Oystersteel as the case. It should feel dense and substantial and draped with a smooth, fluid weight. Fake bracelets are hollow or semi-hollow. They feel light, almost papery. The clasp is your next stop. Modern Daytonas features the Oyster Lock safety clasp with the EasyLink extension system. Finally, check the end links. On a genuine Daytona, they integrate with the case. On many fakes, you'll see a visible gap or uneven fitment that completely breaks the continuity of the design. Okay, the bracelet is solid and the links are flawless, but there's still one final checkpoint that can make or break the deal: the crystal. The Rolex crystal hides a secret and most fakes can't crack it. The Daytona uses a flat sapphire crystal with absolutely no date window and no Cyclops magnification lens. Let's say that one more time. Any Daytona with a date window is an immediate no exceptions fake. There are no asterisks. There are no special editions. If a date window is present, the watch is a counterfeit. Now, here's the detail that separates the real experts from everyone else: the Laser-Etched Coronet, also called the LEC. From approximately 2002 onward, Rolex laser etches a tiny crown logo at the 6 o'clock position on the inner surface of the crystal. The genuine LEC is created using microscopic dots placed at different heights inside the glass, nearly invisible to the naked eye and requiring a loupe plus angle lighting to see properly. And here's the counterintuitive part. If you can easily spot the crown logo without magnification, it's almost certainly a fake. So the crystal checks out, but before you hand over the money, there's one final layer of protection: the papers and provenance. Papers don't guarantee authenticity, but they tell a story worth reading carefully. In the world of luxury watch authentication, papers mean the documentation that comes with the watch, which is the warranty card, certificate of authenticity, hang tags, and original box. And here's the critical truth that most buyers don't understand: papers can be faked too. On modern Daytonas, Rolex has moved to a digital warranty system, and since 2020, new warranty cards include NFC chips verifiable by authorized dealers. The reference number on the papers must match the reference engraved between the lugs at 12 o'clock. The serial number must match the number on the rear at 6 o'clock. These should line up perfectly and consistently. Older Daytonas come with green warranty cards, hang tags, and chronometer certificates. Genuine Rolex paperwork has a specific feel, specific print quality, and specific fonts. Fake papers typically show slightly off typography, inconsistent ink density, or minor spelling errors that reveal themselves under close inspection. And that's it! From the precision of the dial to the bezel and caseback, every single checkpoint tells the same story. A genuine Rolex Daytona is a masterpiece that no counterfeit can fully replicate when you know exactly what to look for. Now, if this video helped you, smash that like button and subscribe, because next up, we're breaking down the Rolex Submariner Authentication Guide. See you there.